Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg, and it's that time of year yet again for us to hear about all the crazy, cool, impressive, shocking, whatever games coming out later this year, next year, 3 years from now, maybe never. Who knows? Um, yes, E3 2018. All the conferences have now wrapped up, and I don't even know when the show itself may have already ended. I'm sure by the time you see this. So as in previous years, I like to do a breakdown of all the highlights from the conferences, big announcements, things like that, and my opinions, just because I like talking about it. That's pretty much it. So I'm trying to hurry to get this thing out there before I leave for vacation, so excuse the sort of crummy editing and lack of video footage and stuff like that. You can just look up trailers elsewhere. Sorry. Yeah, so this was another year with no hardware announcements. So no PS5s, no Xbox 2s, no Nintendo whatever. Well, nobody expected anything from Nintendo. I don't think anyone was really just ready for anything from the other companies. Yeah, hardware announcements tend to be like the biggest pieces of news. Like that's always like the biggest deal. So generally 10 years without those tend to be a little bit lower key because you're not ramping up for a new hardware cycle. But we do have some really, really awesome things coming out from the looks of it. The end of this year, early next year looks to be just absolutely insane. Incredible time for gaming, it looks like. I mean, obviously, they could all be huge disappointments. You have to be prepared for that. But I'm excited. I am excited. So let's get into the conference breakdowns. We're going to go step by step by step. Some of them I'm going to be going through a little bit quickly, but we'll see how it goes. So, right off the bat, EA, who's technically not a part of E3, they just have a conference across the street the day before that happens to show off video games. So there's that. But anyways, so they started with Battlefield 5. And, you know, it's all fairly bog standard stuff for Battlefield. You know, they showed off destruction, you know, because I think that's the thing most people want more of, is more destruction. Everything should be destroyable and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I think they're slowly working on improving that. I think one of the things they were touting was the ability to like move artillery and turrets around and stuff like that. Like you can hook it up to a tank and move it to a different spot. So I guess there's that. A lot of EA's, they mentioned this a few times throughout the thing. EA is not in a good spot right now as far as public perception within the industry. They've had a lot of issues with the loot boxes and sort of PR, and so they were in a bit of damage control here. You know, mentioning multiple times how they care about their community and they take their feedback to heart, and they really strive to be better. So for Battlefield, they were like, no loot boxes, none of that, no scumbaggy shit. And of course, there's always gonna be scumbaggy shit. It's EA, it's habitual. They can't help it. And then, of course, they announced Battle Royale for Battlefield 5. Because Battle Royale is the new, it's the flavor of the year. It's the thing to do. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, there's a single player for Battlefield 5 as well. I think that was shown off more in the Microsoft conference, I believe. I don't know. It was in some, yeah, I think so. And so there's a lot of dipping, like crossovers between different conferences. So when I get to a game, I'm just gonna discuss it all at once, even if they showed more at some other conference. But anyways, moving on. FIFA, who cares? The EA Cloud streaming service and the Origin Access Premier. Basically, there was another, I think it was Microsoft that also talked about subscription gaming. Basically, some company wants to be the Netflix of gaming. You pay a subscription and they own all the games. You don't own anything. You're just paying for access, but you don't have to pick and choose which game to buy. You have access to every game. You just pay monthly. So for Origin Access Premier, they didn't announce this during the show, but it's $15 a month or $100 a year, and you get access to some EA stuff and probably, I guess, new stuff as it comes out. You get access to it with the subscription, which, I mean, it's certainly a very intriguing idea. Not necessarily from EA, but let's look at a bigger picture. Because Netflix, of course, is huge. It's a huge thing. Because not everybody wants to buy each movie they watch. Spotify is massive. Because not everybody wants to buy each album or each song that they want to listen to. Sometimes I want to listen to some Katy Perry, but I don't want to buy it. Just boom, it's there. Recently, I've been reading just hundreds of Hulk comics. If I actually purchased each one of those comics, it would be insane. But because of the subscription, boom, it's all there along with anything else I want to read. So, imagine if, this is deeply hypothetical. I don't even know how this would work, but imagine if Steam had a subscription service, like $30 a month, and you got access to every single game on Steam. Now, you could still buy them if you wanted, but even then, digital, you don't really own it. But $30 a month, you could play whatever. Any new game came out, boom, you can play it. And it's all there. And no, you don't own anything. That you go into the concept of always online and stuff like that. Some people are strongly against that, but let's be real. We're moving into an always online world, whether you want it to or not. So ignoring that, $30 a year or $30 a month subscription to Steam, I think that would be a pretty big thing. That may, I don't know if that'll happen in the future, but you can look at EA, you can look at Microsoft. They're definitely interested in this concept. So let's see here. They cut over to, God, I don't even know his name. The guy from Respawn. And all he announced was the name of their Star Wars game, which is Jedi Fallen Order. You play as a Jedi, obviously, between episodes 3 and 4. So you're sort of a rogue Jedi. And that's it. That's all he announced. Why? You don't need to be at E3 for this. Like, people announce shit all the time just on the internet. Like, it just comes, boom, announcement. Like, this does not need to be an E3 thing when it's just the name of the game. Just leak it or something like everybody else. So then, of course, they went to talk about Battlefront 2, which is the big reason for their damage control. I don't even know where this game is at this point as far as numbers. I don't think it's doing well. I thought I heard they dropped off. I don't know what the drop off was after the first month, but it was pretty atrocious. And even they admitted on stage that it wasn't as good as they wanted it to be. So, yeah, definitely, they're really trying to turn that ship around. um, bringing out new modes, new characters, Clone Wars content, which I don't know if that's like the biggest draw to bring in people. Is like, hey, look, you can play as Count Dooku. I don't know, maybe. But I didn't even get it after Battlefront 1, so whatever. Unravel 2 was announced. Interestingly, they announced it and it was out that day. Like, that's crazy. I mean, I didn't play the first game. I don't know anything about that series. So I don't know if that was like talked about beforehand, but it seemed like an announcement of the game in existence, and then boom, it's available to buy. That's very wild. That's sort of a somewhat recent trend in movies and games, to sort of have these short turnarounds of announce to release, which is cool. I mean, that's really great. Like, if I was a fan of Unravel, and then boom, suddenly in my life is Unravel 2 that day, that's pretty crazy. Sea of Solitude. They brought out a German woman, one of the developers for this indie game, and it was a little awkward because she was just sort of went into this thing about like loneliness and psychology or something like that. Like, I don't know if she walked onto like a TED Talk stage or this is E3 lady. But no, it's some sort of I think it's like a puzzle platform game or something. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be fine, but okay. Of course, NBA, Madden, blah blah blah. Then we got a new Command and Conquer game, which I don't think anyone is happy about that. No one's happy with that. And it was like shoutcasted, and they were acting like it was this huge deal, this super intense mobile game, and just I don't know. I'm not a Command and Conquer player. Like, I'm not an RTS guy, but yeah. So then Anthem. So let's talk about Anthem, because this was one of the big games of E3, I guess, coming out in February. So basically, it's third-person Destiny. This is, I mean, the Destiny comparisons are all over the place. So this is not, I mean, I barely remember playing Destiny way back in the day. Way back in the old days. I think this is a game that's multiplayer focused, and everything they have shown has been sort of focused around playing with other people. And I think they said you can play the game by yourself. Like, that's almost always an option, because they try and protect themselves. You can play it by yourself, but even they were like, we want to promote the idea of joining up with other people. The gameplay to me looks decent. It looks like it could be fun. It really depends on how the gunplay feels, the level of customization, the level of different abilities, different weapons, different loadouts, things like that. There's 4 different classes, basically. There's 4 different suits, and you're not tied to a specific one. You can change between missions, so I guess that's good. For me personally, it just depends on whether it's actually a worthwhile experience playing by yourself. Because there are plenty of games that are like, yeah, it's okay if on your own, but really this game was meant to play with other people. And that's my concern with Anthem, is like, this game was meant to be played with other people, kind of like Destiny. So I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting that they went with a whole new IP for this rather than just having this game in the Mass Effect universe. I mean, they have a very, very well-known science fiction universe that they can set games in, and they chose to go with a new IP. I mean, Mass Effect has been tainted a little bit recently, but I don't know. I can't say I'm super hyped for Anthem compared to a bunch of the other purely single-player games coming out. It's not a game I'm going to pre-order, but we'll see. So that was pretty much it for EA. Not, no one ever expects much from the EA conference. I watch it every year just because it's there. I just like conferences. I like all the posturing and the awkwardness and the PR talk and buzzwords. I just like watching all that. I wait for it every year. So I watch EA out of obligation, but overall there was really not much interesting here, at least for me. Maybe if you're really into FIFA. Moving on to Microsoft. Microsoft has really turned things around as far as their conference is concerned. Because they used to be all about the posturing, buzzwords, just nonstop, bringing people on stage, some cringy stuff. They used to be all about that. And now they've really turned around to, as far as format, they probably have the best format of E3, aside from, I guess, Nintendo. Yeah, so just a metric buttload of games, nothing really but games, just game after game after game. They slipped in some other things here and there, but overall just a shit ton of games. So we're going to try and buzz through this. First of all, Halo Infinite, really not much to say. There's no gameplay trailer, no release date, almost nothing to talk about here. It's just another Halo game. Okay. Ori, Will of the Wisps. This is a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which I thought was great. A lot of people thought was great, so I'm really looking forward to this one. If it's the same quality as the first game, I think it's going to be pretty fantastic. Okay. So then, very surprisingly for me, I did not expect to see this pop up in the Microsoft conference, but From Software, this is The Shadows Die Twice. And the full title is Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. So, not Bloodborne 2, not a Tenchu game, although it's apparently inspired by their Tenchu series. So, From Software, it is a samurai game, but obviously with more fantasy elements than just straight history. So I think we can all say it's Souls-like, just as Bloodborne was Souls-like. I think, it's in that same wheelhouse, which is good. It's very good. It basically seems like they were like, oh, look at this Neo game. Why don't we do something like that and then just fucking shove it up their ass? No, it looks really cool. It looks really slick. The whole Japanese samurai katanas theme was just all over the place this E3, but you play as a guy with one arm, and that arm, his other arm is like artificial, so he can have like different attachments. So he had like a fan shield, he had like a spark thrower or something, he had like an axe, and then there was a grappling hook. And from everything we saw, it seemed like movement was going to be much broader. Like you'll be able to move much further quickly than like a Souls game, with grappling hooks, traversing, much more vertical than we were used to. It's definitely faster paced than Dark Souls. How it's going to compare specifically to Bloodborne, we'll see. I think Vadi was doing a breakdown of the gameplay, and it seemed like the actual dash was a bit slower than Bloodborne. Um, but you have the grappling hook, so you're yeah. I mean, it's FromSoft. It's gonna be great. I don't have much doubt about that. Miyazaki's in charge. It's gonna be good. I like the theme a lot. It's coming next year sometime. They did not specify beyond just 2019, so I think it's gonna be later than, I would guess later than March, which I think is when they tend to do this, but we'll see. Interestingly, published by Activision, which, is, they haven't done that before. I mean, how you feel about that, it's up to you, but most importantly, that means it is not an exclusive to anything. This is going to be on Xbox One, PS4, and Steam. So, I mean, hopefully that means we get a PC release day one. I think that would be awesome. Because I think Bloodborne, in the whole history of things, does suffer quite a bit by being a PS4 exclusive. As great a game as it is, I would love to see it on PC. But Sekiro is definitely confirmed. So, awesome. Moving on then to another big game. We have Fallout 76. So, I'm certainly conflicted on this one. Just like I was talking about with Anthem, I'm not a multiplayer guy. I just prefer to do everything solo. I prefer single-player games. Even some multiplayer games, I'll just prefer to play solo. MMOs, Monster Hunter, just stuff like that. I just prefer to play on my own. And for some games, that just means they're not of interest to me. So, Fallout 76 being confirmed as a online multiplayer game is an issue. But on the other hand, it's a Fallout game. You guys should know I'm a pretty big fan of the Fallout series. And so it's not like I'm angry. Oh, those bastards making online Fallout games. Like, no, that's of interest to a lot of people. Just not necessarily to me. So, me personally, I'm conflicted as far as my interest in the game goes. That being said, I've already pre-ordered. Because from what they showed, it looks decent. The fact that it's based on, very clearly based on the engine for Fallout 4, that's a little bothersome. Just the gunplay of Fallout 3 and 4 is not where I want it to be, and I don't know if it's where anyone wants it to be, so that's just a bummer. But I think until we get Fallout 5, we just have to deal with that. But some of the locales that they were showing off looked really cool. Like, there was one shot of it was like some weird red tentacle forest or something. I was like, oh, that looks cool. Because this is a prequel to every Fallout game. This is not that long after the bombs dropped. So I think this game is going to have the most mutant stuff ever, which is really cool. So basically, it's a Fallout game. It's Fallout 4. It's the same engine for the most part. The map is 4 times the size of Fallout 4, set in West Virginia. And it's like 250 or something like that after the bombs drop, or 300 years, something like that. It's some amount. And so you are from Vault 76, which was a control vault. They, like a lot of the vaults, if you are not aware, they did fucky experiments. Like, the vaults were pretty much just like an excuse for Vault Tech to just do weird experiments to different groups of people. But 76, they didn't do anything to it. It's just they were programmed to get the first release after the bombs drop. So you're from there, you go out into this heavily mutated world, and you're there to rebuild society. So there is going to be base building like in Fallout 4, but anywhere on the map you can build stuff. So that's definitely very different. And so you can go out, you can play on your own, but I don't know if they really specified it, but from the way that things were explained, it is an always online game. As in, you have to be connected to a server to play the game. That's just what it sounded like. I don't know if that's confirmed. So you cannot play offline. So when you're connected to a server, there will be other people connected to that server, whether you want it or not. From the sound of it, that's what it seems like. And so this is not an MMO. There's not going to be 300 people jumping around stealing your fucking whatever food while you're trying to, survive. Each instance of the map, each server, whatever, is going to have. They didn't give a hard number. I think they said a dozen or 2 dozen people. And the map is 4 times the size of Fallout 4, so it's a pretty big place. You could go a while without bumping into somebody. But, these are real players, real people bouncing around the map. So you might join up with them, or they might just shoot you. Which is an interesting concept, don't get me wrong. And if this was if this was Fallout 5, I'd be like, what the fuck is this? I'm pissed. But this is a different game. This is Fallout 76. It's a spin-off. I think it's a very interesting experiment. Obviously, myself, a lot of other people have questions about this game. I just don't know how loot works. I don't know how objects respawn. If I jump into a server and it's been looted to death, are they repopulating it with new loot, or how does level difference work, loot difference work? You can join up in a squad with 3 other people, I guess. And they were talking about safety and numbers and stuff like that. I just am concerned that I'm gonna play this game and I'm just gonna play it as if it was Fallout 4. But I'm just going to constantly find some squad of 4 people that just rocket launch me every second. I don't know. I mean, there's concerns. For me personally, I'd prefer to just have Fallout 4.5. I would prefer to just have another New Vegas situation, where it's the same engine, but maybe, Obsidian handles it, or some other company handles just a new game with the same engine, and it's just, 4.5. But what we have, it is what it is. I've pre-ordered it. Obviously, I'm going to check it out, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. Whatever, I don't care. Crackdown 3. Maybe if that game ever comes out, I'll care. I don't know. Metro Exodus. So this is the 3rd game, I believe, in the Metro series. Comes out the same day as Anthem and Days Gone. So that's a big release date, February 22nd. I have never gotten into the Metro series. I don't know why. For whatever reason, whether it's the horror elements and I don't like that, or I just find a lot of first-person shooters boring. Whatever the case, I have not gotten into the Metro series. I think the only way at this point that I will is if I do a Let's Play series of all the games, which could happen in a couple of years. I don't know. All right, Kingdom Hearts 3. So, Kingdom Hearts 1, I bought... I don't even remember. It was either release day or soon after release day when that game came out, because that was a Square Enix game. That was really the only reason. There was the Disney aspect, but it was okay. I mean, what the fuck is Goofy doing in the? I don't know. But really, I bought it because it was a Square Enix RPG, and it was a big title. This was not some weird offshoot or what. This was a big major title, and I was like, okay, it's gotta be good, and I enjoyed it. I liked the first game quite a bit. Second game came out, of course, I bought it. And I liked it, but I was like, this is getting into some real weeb shit. Like, this is getting way too anime and just, which is really funny because it's Square Enix, but the fact, I don't know, it's just the whole dichotomy with Disney. I guess I didn't really mind in the first one, but the second one, you have all these like black robed figures, and it's just, you're trying to make Goofy and Donald like part of this anime. I don't know. There was just something that rubbed me the wrong way, and so then I see the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer here, and it's the same thing. I don't know. There's just something that rubs me the wrong way, especially with the dialogue. I mean, if you watch the trailers, just the dialogue between characters is so atrocious. It's just, my eyes just kind of roll into the back of my head, and it's anime-esque, but it's like bad anime-esque. You know, there are certainly very good animes that do not have awful dialogue like that. I don't know. I've already pre-ordered it. But it's not like oh, Last of Us 2, holy shit, yes, pre-order. It's more like, okay, I'll get it. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Let's see here. Sea of Thieves getting new DLC, blah blah blah. I don't know if anyone plays that game anymore. Forza Horizon 4 set in Britain. Okay. I don't even know how racing games like really innovate after all these. Like, I feel like it's still pretty much the same thing as 1996. It just looks better. But maybe. I don't know. I'm not a racing fan. Microsoft talked about a bunch of their acquisitions into Microsoft Studios. So, Undead Labs, who made State of Decay, Playground Games, Forza, Ninja Theory, who made Hellblade, is now part of Microsoft Studios, as well as Compulsion Games, who are working on We Happy Few. Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, if they're helping out indie studios, they're propping them up, they're giving them some funding or whatever. I guess I can't argue. And I know, you know, people, like, exclusives are certainly a problem with the industry. Like, exclusives are not a good thing for gaming. You know, like, Bloodborne is a perfect example of, you know, it's a fantastic game. You understand why Sony wants it to be exclusive. But the fact that it's not on other systems, particularly PC, is a problem and a bummer for gamers. The only thing is, exclusives tend to be some of the absolute best games on any system. You know, you look at the PS4 exclusive games, there's just, like, it blows out almost anything that's multi-platform. Now, of course, there are exceptions, but you look at Bloodborne, you look at Horizon Zero Dawn, you look at The Last of Us. Well, it's PS3, but whatever. You look at God of War. I mean, these are just like huge, just like game of the year titles. Whereas multi-platform stuff, you get like The Division. I don't know. Anyways, so it's just, that's how it kind of works, and I'm sure that, you know, these companies are poaching these very promising games to be exclusive because it sells consoles. And plenty of people bought a PS4 for God of War. but it's just kind of interesting. But anyways, that doesn't matter to anything. Let's move on. This is going to be 2 hours. Let's see. Tales of Vesperia is getting a definitive edition. Actually, I guess it already had that, but not in the West. So that's coming out later this year. I actually might get that. Because my brother is a very, very big fan of that game, so maybe I'll get that. Alright, so The Division 2. Harken back to a time when I was invited to the beta of The Division, which was an exciting new game from Ubisoft that had just incredible trailers. Remember the gameplay trailers for The Division? It was the talk of the town, and so I was very excited to play The Division. And even though there was an NDA, I decided to record a video of it and upload it. I think I did it like unlisted or something. I think I linked to it in a Hanging with Mangg. And lo and behold, I did not think much of the game. I thought it was a little crappy just from the beta. I was like, I don't know about this. And somebody was angered by my comments about the game because they thought that it was the bee's knees, based on what they have played. And so they were upset with me, and they reported my video for breaking the NDA. And it was taken down. And sure enough, The Division came out, and it was pretty shit, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Not a huge success, that game. So in the end, maybe I was right. But anyways, Division 2, I think they are trying to rectify a lot of complaints from the early days of Division. From what I understand, they've done work on The Division. They turned around some things, but there's still problems. And so it seems like The Division 2, from what I've read, from what I've seen, is a bit of a response to the people like myself that crapped on The Division 1. So a lot of things have been altered. My big problem with Division was the bullet sponge thing. And other people had that same complaint, where enemies just took way too many hits to take down. It wasn't realistic, and it wasn't very fun. Because that's never fun. That's never a good thing. And it seems like Division 2, from what we've seen, from what people have played at E3 and discussed, or whatever, that is been altered. They've definitely tried to tone down the bullet sponge aspect. I don't know. It's not a pre-order for me. It's definitely a wait and see. If it comes out and people are like, wow, this is so much better than The Division, all these things have been changed and fixed, this is a great game, well, okay, then maybe I'll check it out. But keep in mind, it's Ubisoft, so who knows? Alright, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I mean, it looks good. It looks like it looks like the third Tomb Raider game. Like, there was nothing really shocking with what we saw of this game. It looks exactly like what I expect. And if it's the same quality as the first two, it's going to be a solid experience. That's not like a big shocker of E3. It could have completely skipped E3 and I would still get it and it would be whatever. I'm sure it'll be good. But yeah, that's sort of a very bland thing to talk about. Let's see here. A whole bunch of stuff. Black Desert Online coming to Xbox. That MMO has far bigger legs than I thought it would. Like, that game is consistently on the top selling charts of Steam. It's coming to Xbox. It's one of the strongest MMOs of many recent years. And it's a beautiful MMO. The action's very cool. But I don't know, that game just sort of bogs itself down with so many things to do, and just like that game is designed to run 24/7 on your computer once you start playing, whether you're there or not. You need to be doing shit, and I don't know. It was just so much to it. It lost structure for me. But again, if I had a group of friends playing it, okay, it probably would be pretty fun. But I don't know. Devil May Cry 5. It's not really my series. I think I played Devil May Cry 4. I think I might have beaten it. I feel like that was ages ago. I don't even know if it was 4. There was a guy with like red clothes and there was like a fight in a church at the start and something. I don't know. It's very anime. I don't usually go for hacky slashy games. Just the God of War series, really. So yeah, not really my thing. Cuphead is getting DLC. Surprise, surprise. The Delicious Last Course. I did not notice this until it was pointed out, but Delicious Last Course, the letters are DLC. So it's the DLC. It's pretty clever. You get a new character, Miss Chalice, new world, new weapons, bunch of new bosses coming next year. I had my issues with Cuphead personally, but I think it is a well done game for what it wants to be. So, and it has its fan base, so good for them. Tunic, pretty interesting art style, sort of isometric-ish action Zelda game with like a mouse or something, I guess. Okay. Sure. Like a lot of these games that I'm interested in, I'm not going to play on an Xbox. Although I think Tunic is... I don't know. It has a Steam page. So, I mean, when it comes on Steam, that's when I'll get it. My Xbox One hasn't been turned on in like 2 years. Jump Force. This was a crazy trailer. Because I was like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, it's a fighting game from Bandai Namco that involves a lot of characters, supposedly, from a lot of different anime. So you had like Naruto from Naruto fighting Frieza, and Goku was there. And then there was like that guy from the one anime that I never watched, but is like the best-selling anime of all time. And then there was Light Yagami standing up there, and it's like Light Yagami fighting Goku. Like what is this? How does that even work? It's kind of like the Injustice games. It's like how what the fuck is Harley Quinn doing against Superman? How does this even make sense? So I don't know the whole scope of that game as far as characters involved. But yeah, it's an anime fighting game with a lot of crossovers. From the little footage that I saw of it, it doesn't really seem that exciting compared to something like Dragon Ball Fighter Z. But just the fact that you can play as Light Yagami and kill Goku, maybe I'll check it out. Dynalite 2. I didn't really play the first game. I thought it was just another like Dead Island game or something. I don't know. I just passed by it. But this looks really good. It's got Chris Avellone doing like writing for it, and it's sort of that same PR bullshit about your choices matter. Like we've been hearing that for fucking 30 years. Very few games actually do that, but with Chris Avellone there, maybe. So it looks good. Zombie games are getting a little long in the tooth at this point, but hey, maybe it'll be pretty good. That's not an instant pre-order for me, but I'll definitely be eyeing the reviews. All right, so the next one. This was the biggest tease for me of the entire thing. I was on the edge of my fucking seat because this trailer came on and they started doing like, they started showing like a lot of green. And they had like green font and stuff and like a green background or whatever. And I was like, oh, what is this? What is this? What is green? And then they started having like comic book style like pop-ups for like dialogue. And I was like, oh my god, green comic books? Is this a fucking Hulk game? Oh my god! And then Battletoads. That was the biggest blue ball trailer of the entire show. The entire E3, that was it. Fucking Battletoad. Like, the only people that care about this are like 4chan whenever they're calling GameStop. Like, who is super excited about a Battletoads game in 2019? Whatever. Pass. Pass just for pissing me off. Just Cause 4. I don't know about this series at this point. I just don't feel like it's innovating enough. I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot of it, but it does come out in December. So, I don't know. Like, Gears of War 3 just did not capture me at all. There's only just so much random, I got like all my random destruction kicks in Just Cause 2. Like, I like almost, I played through that game, I almost 100%ed it. And I was just, doing all this crazy stuff. I really got into that game. I loved it. And then Just Cause 3 comes out and it's like, okay, I don't think I can do this again. Like, I got all that out of me. It's done. So Just Cause 4, unless they're doing some crazy new innovations, which it doesn't seem like, I don't know. I'm kind of done with that series at this point. All right, then we got to the Gears of War segment. 3 announcements. I'll do them in order of my anticipation, from least to most. So we have Gears Pop. It's a mobile game with no gameplay shown, featuring Funko Pop styled characters. What fever dream idea did this come from? Like, I don't know. I feel like this was Funko Pop coming to Microsoft rather than them going to Funko Pop. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I mean, it's an okay style for like a figurine, but why does that... What? I don't know. It's a mobile game, so I couldn't care even if it wasn't Funko Pop, but whatever. Okay. Then Gears 5. And yeah, it's actually called Gears 5. They dropped Gears of War. Which is funny, because whenever my friends talk about the series, they almost always refer to it as Gears. So it's funny that they just kind of embrace this. So Gears 5. I stopped playing the series after 2. I never cared for the multiplayer. I actually kind of despised it, to be honest. Because when I played multiplayer for the first game, it was literally just characters like rolling non-stop with a shotgun until they were right next to you and then you died. That was the multiplayer for me. So I just, whatever. So I played the single player for 1 and 2. I actually kind of enjoyed it. But then I sort of just forgot about the series. So there might come a time where I just play through all the games just for the single player. Because I like the theme. I like the setting. I like all the enemies, and I think it's kind of cool. I don't really care about the story, but maybe. Then finally, Gears Tactics. This is the most interesting one to me. This is a turn-based strategy game in the style of XCOM. It's a prequel to the whole series. So you're like the squads handling like the invasion or whatever. But yeah, it's very, very much seems to be an XCOM ripoff. But that's okay, because that's definitely a gameplay genre. That's the genre I'm very interested in. So if they do this well, that could be a big hit with me, much more so than any of the other games in the series. All right, then finally for the Microsoft conference, yeah, it was a big one. Finally, we have Cyberpunk 2077. We have not seen any gameplay from this, so I can't really talk about it. All they showed was a cinematic trailer. showing different locations and characters and stuff like that. So this is Cyberpunk. This is not Shadowrun. That's an important distinction. Cyberpunk, I believe, predates Shadowrun, as far as RPGs are concerned. So there's no magic in the game. Cyberpunk does not have magic. And Cyberpunk, I've never played the RPG, but from what I understand, I think it leans a little bit more towards Pink Mohawk in style. So it tends to have more color to it, more sort of fantastical outfits and characters and stuff like that. I think it tends to be a little bit more lighthearted than Shadowrun, from what I understand. But it is, I mean, it's Cyberpunk. That's the style. So yeah, of course, I'm very excited for this game. From CD Projekt Red, from who made the Witcher series, which I've never finished a Witcher game, but you know, I can be impressed with the quality of The Witcher 3. I'm impressed enough with that even though I didn't finish it, I may never finish it. Who knows? I understand they're a very quality. They're a very solid company. So I think they're going to do well with Cyberpunk 2077. The most notable thing, of course, is this is a first-person game. This was not shown at the conference. They showed a 90-minute gameplay demo behind closed doors. That's huge. That's a massive gameplay demo for E3. Which seems to me that this game is pretty damn far along. Although they didn't want to show any gameplay on stage, which was kind of odd. You hear a 90-minute gameplay demo behind closed doors, and you show zero on stage. I'm not sure exactly why, but from what I've heard, first person, as far as gunplay was concerned, they said it's slower than something like the new Doom, but it's faster than, say, Fallout 3 or 4. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty solid. They said it was pretty solid. The comparison that I heard was like Deus Ex, but with less of a focus on stealth and a bit more of a focus on gunplay. You have different stats. You have like strength and intelligence and cool, things like that. There's a bunch of RPG elements to it. There's multiple ways to solve situations. There's dialogue trees, things like that. This is definitely an RPG. But notably, it is first person, which is bound to piss off a lot of people. And to be honest, I expected it to be third person. But I think first person is probably a better choice in the end. When you get into gunplay, I think first person is just the better way to go. So until we see gameplay, there's not a whole lot to say, but I and many other people are certainly excited about this. A huge, big budget, AAA Cyberpunk game is very exciting. Okay, so now we're 53 minutes into this with 2 conferences done. But we have a lot of the big games covered, so it's okay. So that was Microsoft. Again, their format for the conference is very well done. They showed off a lot of good, solid games, although there was some bullshit in there. But just having game after game after game with, some gameplay in most of them. Yeah, it was a very solid conference for them. That being said, there's just still almost nothing that's bringing me back to my Xbox One. And so it's getting, for when their next console launches, whenever that is, they're really going to need to bring the thunder for me to even buy it. And I buy everything. So, I don't know, man. If I didn't own an Xbox One, nothing they showed here would make me buy an Xbox One. If only for the fact that everything is just available on other consoles or on PC. And I know I said exclusives are bad for the industry, and I agree, but no exclusives is bad for Microsoft. I don't know. We'll see what they do in the future, but there's really no reason for me to fire up my console. All right, moving on to Bethesda. We have Rage 2. I did not play Rage. A lot of people didn't play Rage. I'm shocked it has a sequel. But from what I understand, from what people have played at E3, this is a big turnaround from Rage 1. The gunplay specifically seems to be highly reminiscent of the 2016 Doom game, which is fan-freaking-tastic. I mean, you tell me that, okay, I'll pre-order. I'm on top of that. That's excellent. So from the sounds of it, it's going to be a lot like Doom, but with vehicles and more abilities and stuff like that in sort of an open world post-apocalyptic. I passed on Rage because it just looks so, I don't know, bog standard, but this one, they seem to really be going for a high energy feel, and that could definitely be entertaining. They showed off some Elder Scrolls Legends, Elder Scrolls Online. They're doing like a full. They are pushing Elder Scrolls Legends harder than I thought. I thought that game was pretty much done, but they're sort of relaunching it with new visuals, and they're coming out with console releases on all 3 consoles later this year. It's pretty wild. Elder Scrolls Online, no one cares. But then Doom Eternal, a shining light from hell. So whenever we get to it, you will see my series of LPs of the Doom games. But Doom 2016 was just really, I did not expect to like it as much as I did. Because I thought I was kind of just done with first-person shooter. I was just like, oh, that genre is just stale and done. But Doom 2016 comes out, and it's just like, oh my god! So I am super duper excited for Doom Eternal. They showed no gameplay, but I think we can all expect what it'll be like. We'll get to see more in August at QuakeCon. And they said, like, Doom guy, he's going to be even more freaking badass in this game, and he's going to be doing way more shit, twice as many enemy types as Doom 2016, and it's going to be hot. They also talked about Quake Champions, and they said that for this week, until the 17th, Quake Champions is free to play, and if you download it this week, you get to keep it forever. I don't know how much the game costs normally, but I downloaded it. And surprisingly, Ziggy and I actually just a couple hours ago played a couple matches. It's really fun. I mean, we were playing against shit people. I got first place on the scoreboard both games, but I had a lot of fun with it. It's very frenetic, very fast paced. You know, it's sort of Overwatch. I don't really want to say that Overwatch-esque. There's a class system with different classes, but your loadout never changes because there's weapon pickups across the map. So it's not the classes don't matter that much. But for a free to play right now multiplayer shooter, I had a lot of fun with it with Ziggy. We're gonna play some more. Prey got a bunch of announcements, New Game Plus, Survival Mode, a new DLC that's already available called Moon Crash, and then there's some multiplayer update thing coming out later this summer. None of that interests me. I mean, the game was fine, but that's where I'll leave it. Wolfenstein also got some updates. There's a new DLC called Youngblood coming out next year, featuring his kids, so solo or co-op. And then it's also coming to VR, although I think it's like a separate game. I don't know what that is, and okay. That doesn't. I can't talk about that much. So then they did a skit. Todd Howard came out, and Bethesda is very self-aware of all the jokes made about them. So Todd Howard, he definitely knows how to poke fun at the company. So they showed a skit with Keegan-Michael Key, and it was Skyrim very special edition on Alexa. And yeah, I was watching this and I was chatting with Ziggy, just messaging Ziggy, and I was like, okay, I mean, this is very clearly a joke, which it ended up not being. It's a real thing. You can play Skyrim on your Alexa, which is pretty funny. But I was talking to Ziggy and I was like, okay, so this is a joke, but imagine in the near future, like, we have AI that's smart enough, where you can have like your Google Home or whatever operate as a DM for an RPG. Because they can actually parse like all the things you're saying and actually interpret it within a fictional setting. We're definitely years away from this. Like, we don't have AI that's nearly that intelligent, but someday you will not even need a person to DM to play RPGs. Of course, by that point, we'll have fucking hollow decks or whatever, so it doesn't matter. So then Todd Howard, of course, talked about Fallout 76, but we can gloss over that. Elder Scrolls Blades. So this was a big tease. A new Elder Scrolls game, but a mobile game. So for a mobile title, yes, it is very impressive. I think we can all agree on that. But the fact remains, it is a mobile game. And that just bothers a lot of people, including myself. Although, whatever. It's something I didn't expect that to exist. So it's not like it really bothers me. Like, I don't think they're really like, oh, we got to push off Elder Scrolls 6. We can't work on that yet. We need the mobile game first. Like, whatever. I'm sure it's some small part of the team. It doesn't matter. So yeah, it's a very stripped down Elder Scrolls game. I think it's mostly revolves around dungeon crawling. But you have a town that you can build up and stuff, and the combat is very simplified, and the loot is very simplified, and everything is sort of broken down, and whatever. It's coming this fall. I'm not gonna get it. Most likely. I mean, it's gonna be free, apparently, so I don't know what that all entails. If I can play it on my 10-inch tablet, maybe I'll check it out, but I don't really do much mobile stuff no matter what. But they did say it's coming to everything. It's coming to mobile, it's coming to consoles, and it's coming to PC, and it's coming to VR. So everything, and all the platforms are going to be able to play together in some way. They're all going to be linked somehow. I guess there's like a one-on-one arena mode. So he mentioned like you'll be able to play on your phone against somebody on a Vive. That's wild. So I guess I'll play it on PC, although I feel like it's just going to be shit. It's going to be like a Flash game of Skyrim. I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. I don't know. So then they had 2 teases. No gameplay, very short trailers, almost nothing to say. He specifically said coming in like the next generation, or is it something with the next generation? It's unclear whether he meant the next gen of consoles, which to be honest is likely, or he just meant like the next generation of Bethesda games, implying a whole new engine or something like that, which I fucking hope so. So I hope it's both. I hope it's a new engine on new consoles. Which means it's a ways off. We know it's a ways off. But the first one was Starfield, which we had already kind of known about because of rumors. We didn't see anything of it. It's just a sci-fi game, a new IP, a single-player game. That's it. Then, of course, the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser. The only thing to mention about this really is it has no subtitle. Whether or not it's going to have a subtitle in the long run, I have to imagine it will. Because that every Elder Scrolls game has a subtitle. But they did not show it. All we got was a little glimpse of a new setting or a different setting. I think most people, including myself, are pretty set on it being High Rock. That's just what it looks like. If it is something else, they are trying to be intentionally misleading. If it is actually Hammerfell, and they wanted us to know it was Hammerfell, they would have shown a desert. If they like that's just it. If they wanted us to know that it was something else, they would have shown us something very specific. You know, if they wanted us to know it was Somerset Isle or Valenwood or whatever, it would have been a lot more definitive. The only thing that seems definitive here is that it looks like High Rock. So that's a bit of a bummer. That's that. As far as a setting that we haven't had before, that would be pretty low on the list. And actually, we have had it before, of course, in Daggerfall, although that's not really fair. For one, that was really the Iliac Bay, and two, it could have been any region. Like the setting wasn't a huge deal in Daggerfall, not tremendously. The problem with High Rock is just so bland. It really is like the blandest region, apart from like Cyrodiil. You know, a High Rock game would be very, very different than a Black Marsh game, an Akavir game, a Somerset Isle game. So to wait this long for it to be a High Rock game is a little bit of a disappointment, but if it's a new engine and, you know, they really bring out the big guns and this is just a huge, big new title that's fixing every problem people have with Skyrim, okay, it could be amazing. But that's years and years away. All right, Square Enix, or Square Enix. I don't know which one is right. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, already talked about. Some Final Fantasy XIV online stuff, including a crossover with Monster Hunter World. So this crossover goes both ways, actually. It's a crossover in Final Fantasy XIV online to have some Monster Hunter stuff. But in Monster Hunter World, we're going to have some Final Fantasy stuff, including a behemoth as a monster. I don't know where that trailer was shown, but I saw it online. So you can check out Monster Hunter World Final Fantasy trailer showing the behemoth, which, yeah, that looks pretty damn cool. Dragon Quest 11? Is that what it is? I don't know. That series is crazy. So that's already out in Japan, I believe. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. That comes out in a few months. Babylon's Fall. This game looked really interesting. They were showing off like a bunch of lore stuff. There was no gameplay showing. They were showing off a bunch of lore stuff, and I was like, okay, this looks pretty kind of cool. And then I found out right at the end it said Platinum Games, and I was like, I've never liked a Platinum game. I don't know. There's something about that developer. It's just like it's always too fast and frenetic, and just I don't know. Something about their games just. But it looked like a cool setting. Octopath Traveler, of course, I've got it pre-ordered. I'm ready to go. Very excited about that. That's my kind of game. Just Cause 4, blah, blah, blah. The Quiet Man. So this was interesting. It was sort of a live action trailer that segued into CG. We didn't see any real gameplay. We don't know anything about it. It's sort of like a deaf guy that beats up people in alleyways. But from what I've heard elsewhere, it's like a cinematic game that mixes live action and CG, and you can complete it in a single session. So, okay, my interest went pretty far down. Then some Kingdom Hearts 3. It's the same trailer that was in the Microsoft conference. There was no new anything. And so that's how they ended their show. And it was over. It was like a 30-minute show. Almost nothing was like new. And it was just like, that was like the biggest flop of the whole. It was the biggest flop of the whole conference. Because I know EA is going to be shit. But Square Enix, I'm like, okay, they're going to have like a 15-minute demo of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, it's just, this is going to be all about Final Fantasy VII Remake. And we didn't get one mention. Not throughout the entire E3. Not one mention of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Nowhere. It's like it doesn't even exist. Like, we all collectively imagined it. It's crazy. But what I really think is it's going to come out for the PS5. It's going to be a PS5 exclusive. That's really the most likely thing. It's not even like Sony needs other big exclusives to sell their consoles. But Final Fantasy VII Remake launch title for PS5 would be bonkers. Like, that's how you get my brother to buy your new console. That's what you do. So that would be my guess at this point, since we saw nothing. But maybe they're really having some overhauls. I mean, maybe, like, I thought this was an episodic game. So I thought we'd already have like 2 episodes in at this point, but I don't know. It was wild. Okay, Ubisoft. Ubisoft always delivers on the cringe and just the awkwardness. But they really toned it down this year. There was like no laser tag or anything. So yeah. But they had to start with some weird stuff. Because of course, Just Dance 2019. Which is coming out for the Wii. There was an article on Kotaku about that, how it's coming out for the Wii. That's not the Wii U, the Wii. It's wild. Wild stuff. Beyond Good and Evil 2, I really cannot talk about much about this game. Because we didn't really see... We didn't really see gameplay. Not almost anything. And I didn't play the first game. I know that's like a big thing, but I've never played it. So I don't really have any super interest in this game. But if it ends up being good, okay. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt came out. Robin himself. Which was weird. And so they announced that people will be able to submit artwork, music, concepts, whatever, for the game, fan contributions, and if it's actually put into the game, they will get paid. I don't know. Okay, I guess. I mean, there's some issues with that as far as... I don't know. People are doing all this work and ending up not getting paid for it, or not getting... I don't know. It's just... It feels like, hey, do our work for us, please. But, you know, if they get compensated properly and, you know, people are clearly interested, if they don't get screwed because of it, okay, fine. I wish... I don't know. I guess. It's sort of like... It's sort of like modding. Like, you know, modders end up fixing a lot of games after the fact. They're just, like, cutting ahead and be like, oh, yeah, do that, you know, fix our game beforehand. But it's just art and music, and I think it's like posters you see around town and, you know, little pieces of music and stuff. Okay, I guess it's fine. Let's see, Rainbow Six Siege, Trials. When I remember playing Trials, like, in high school during, like, CAD. Like playing like the first Trials on Newground or whatever. I don't know. It's crazy how far that series has come. Division 2, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle Donkey Kong Adventure. Hell of a title. So there's some DLC for Mario and Rabbids. I really should check out that game some point. It's still like $40, but at some point I'll get it. Skull and Bones. This is a new pirate game. And there's ship combat. And yeah. I'm going to be real honest here. It would take a hell of a game to really interest me on pirate ship combat. There's just something about it that just bores me. Just let me line up my ship, and now I will fire at your ship, and hopefully I'll blow up your ship before you blow up my ship, and oh wait, I'm going too far, let me turn around so I can blast your ship again. It's just, I don't know. I was watching it, it's just like, this is not my game. This is not for me. I mean, pirates are kind of cool, but I don't know. There's just nothing about that really appeals to me. Having to, I 100%ed Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and having to do all the ship combat in the game, just, oh God. Okay. Transference. Elijah Wood came out. Frodo himself. He's the creative director, apparently, on this game. It's a first-person puzzle game that involves moving between consciousnesses, and it seems kind of trippy, and I don't know. There's not much to say about it. It's just like, oh, more celebrities. Starlink Battle for Atlas. Speaking of celebrities, this game looks like not my thing at all. But at the very end, they revealed Star Fox is a character in the Switch version itself, or Switch version only. So exclusive to the Switch is Star Fox, and they panned over, and sitting there in front was Shigeru Miyamoto at the Ubisoft conference. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And oh, remember when Nintendo actually was like part of the industry and did this? And no. And there were like those years where they did a conference, but Miyamoto wasn't there at all. And now he's showing up at the fucking Ubisoft conference. And it's good to see him, but I don't have any interest in that game. Then they talked about For Honor, and okay, moving on. The Crew 2, I think I went to the bathroom at that point. Assassin's Creed Odyssey looks really good. It's set in ancient Greece. It's like the earliest game in the timeline. You play as a Spartan, because you cannot have a video game in Greece without the character being a Spartan. It's just, it's impossible. Because you'll have people be like, why can't I be a Spartan? They're the best. The Spartans. So you can play as a man or a woman. Ooh. And you pick at the start of the game, and that's the character you play for the entire game. So that's definitely new. You get a choice. And so it's definitely development off of Origins. So it's got the same sort of level, loot, all ability type system from that game, which is good. And it's a cool setting. It looks very pretty. I love the color schemes and the vibrancy of it. It looked good. I'm definitely interested. That series could very easily just become a shit pile of interest to no one and just die off. But no, it keeps going on. Obviously, it could be better, and it certainly could stop, but it keeps being fine, and it keeps selling, so I can't complain that much. I'm probably going to get it. So that was it for Ubisoft. Like I said, it wasn't a shit show from them. They showed off some decent stuff. Not a whole lot, but some decent stuff. And you had Miyamoto, although you didn't have Splinter Cell, so yeah. The PC Gaming Show. This was massively long. I did not watch most of this. I was in and out, and I caught little bits and pieces, so I'm not going to really go over all this. The only thing of real note to us is the Sinking City. This is not a new announcement. We've known about this for quite a while. It's been in development for a while. I think this is from Frogwares. This is a third-person Lovecraftian mystery game. It's got some action. It's got some puzzles. It doesn't look visually that fantastic. This is not like a AAA huge title. All the Frogwares games have always had a little sort of janky looking character models and stuff, but they were clear that this is not going to be a very hand-holdy mystery game. You're definitely going to have to do some real detective work to figure out what's going on. I don't know. I feel like the guy talking about the name of the city, I don't think he called it Innsmouth, but I feel like I read somewhere that someone called it Innsmouth. Maybe they were just being like referencing it or something, but yeah, it's a Massachusetts city. It's sinking. There's gonna be deep ones and shit. There's gonna be all sorts of stuff. There's sanity mechanics. This is very much Dark Corners of the Earth, but in 2019. There's going to be some combat, of course, like Dark Corners of the Earth, but the main focus is mystery. I mean, I'm going to play it. I'm going to let's play it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. It's going to be good. I hope. Aside from that, really nothing else for me to talk about. I'm sure there's stuff in here that I'm gonna end up playing, but I didn't watch most of this. Oh, Noida looked really cool. It was like a roguelike. It was like an action roguelike. You played as a wizard. It was very pixely, but every pixel was simulated. So they were showing off all these cool like damage stuff to the environments and all these different things with the terrain, with the pixels. Check out the Noita trailer if you haven't already. That's Noita. It was really cool. 2 Point Hospital looked fun, even though I didn't play the original Theme Hospital. I have watched videos of that game, and that looks pretty fun. Hitman 2, that's probably going to be a pre-order for me. That's like, yeah. Like the last game, Hitman, I played through like the first couple levels of that game like so much, just over and over, and then I got to the third one. I played it a little bit and I was like, oh, I'm like done. Like that, I got my fill of Hitman. But I really enjoyed my time with that game. I was just thinking about going back and finishing it. So yeah, I'm definitely excited about that. They're doing good work with Hitman. So that was a very lengthy show. I didn't watch most of it. Also, Rapture Rejects. That was a pretty funny trailer. That's a very sort of low-key, laid-back show. And I think it was probably the best they've ever done for the PC gaming show, because they actually did want to do announcements, which is what E3 is all about. Moving on. Quickly now. Sony. So Sony, as far as what games they showed, blew everyone else out of the water for me personally, which tends to be what Sony does in recent years. They just have the best exclusives. They have the best shit. They show off the best shit, and it's awesome. That being said, format-wise, they really blew it. It didn't bother me that much. It was just sort of confusing, but some people were very upset with what they were doing. So basically, they opened with Last of Us 2. And they wanted the trailer that they were showing for Last of Us 2 took place in like a tent with this lighting and stuff like that, and there was dancing. And so I guess they wanted to have the first part of the conference in a tent that resembled the start of the Last of Us Part 2 trailer. And it did. And it was a cool transition from like that real life setting into the trailer, and okay. But the problem was the main conference was in a more traditional area, and so they had to get all the people that were in the tent at the start over to the main area. So there was a break there. And, you know, if I was there, I'd be like, oh yeah, I want to be in that tent for Last of Us 2 right there. Yeah, I want to be there, but then I don't want to miss stuff while you're talking at the regular conference. So let me get over there. But that takes time to move all these people. So they showed the Last of Us 2 thing, and then before they could move on with the rest of the conference, they had to move all the people. So they went to like an interview with Sean Layden. It was like a post-show interview almost, but it was like the middle of the conference. And it was just so jarring and weird. And I watched the show after the fact, after it was over. So I was like, oh, am I watching the wrong video? Like, did I skip it? Well, what is happening? The show's over? That was it? I mean, it was good, but that's it. But no, finally they went back to the conference area and continued. It didn't bother me that much, but yeah, it pissed off some people. They probably won't do that again. So Last of Us 2 obviously looks incredible. Graphically looks gorgeous. It was all Ellie gameplay. A lot of gore. Looks visceral as fuck. The HUD is extremely minimal this time. The animations look incredible. Everything looks incredible. That being said, the gameplay trailers for the first game also looked really incredible, and the actual game was toned down a little bit. The animations were a little worse, and AI was a little bit not as intelligent for whatever reason. So, temper your expectations a little bit, but I mean, overall, this game is going to deliver. It's going to be a worthy sequel. That's my hope. It just seems so unlikely this game is going to be shit. All right, it just seems so unlikely. Like, maybe it won't live up to the first one. That's certainly a possibility, but I think it's going to be a good time. So, I'm not worried. Okay, but the next one was probably, almost certainly, the biggest surprise for me. It was not technically an announcement. This game was announced a while back. Called The Ghost of Tsushima from Sucker Punch, who made the Infamous series. This is very different from Infamous. So when I was watching this trailer, honestly, I thought it was trailer for Sekiro. I don't know why. I just didn't expect two, like, katana samurai Japanese games. And so I'm watching this trailer, and, he doesn't have, like, the artificial arm, but I thought this was, like, the start of the game before you get that or something, whatever. But I'm just watching this trailer, and my mouth is just fucking hanging open. I'm like, oh my God. It looks so good. The color palettes, the contrast of colors and lighting, and you're just, oh my God. And then you get into this fight with these three goons, and you just, like, whip out your sword in one motion and just butcher this guy. It's just like, oh my God. And then they show off some stealth, some instant kills, and there's a scene in, like, a little temple, and you, like, jump down and you stab a guy, but then you have, like, this warp over to this other guy, and it's not a warp, but whatever, and then you butcher this other guy, and oh, it just looks so good. And this was the first gameplay we saw from it, but the game was announced previously, but I didn't know anything about it. But, oh my God, yeah, this was the biggest surprise for me. Because not only do we got Sekiro coming out, but we also have this coming out, and it's like, oh, it's a good time to be a fan of katanas. I mean, as for how well the game actually plays, I'm sure that the combat itself is probably not going to be as masterful as Sekiro, but just visually, that game is amazing. Okay, so Control is a new game from Remedy. You have telekinetic powers, I guess, and you're throwing around shit, and maybe it'll be good. The Resident Evil 2 remake. So I've never played Resident Evil 2. Really, I've never played anything before 4. It's just kind of funny to me because I'm not, like, a super fan of the whole series. It's just funny to me that this gets a remake. I know the first game had a remake a while ago, but this looks so, like, super remake compared to anything before. And it's just funny that this game sort of gets singled out for this super special treatment. But I guess it's, like, the best of the early ones, although that's probably debatable. I guess it's sort of probably running on the RE7 engine, so maybe it'll be pretty good. Maybe I'll get it. I'm not a huge fan of horror games, but maybe. New game from Justin Roiland for the PSVR, apparently. Okay. Kingdom Hearts 3, again, blah, blah, blah. Death Stranding. All right. If you have not seen the footage that they showed for Death Stranding, do yourself a favor and watch it right now. It's the trippiest thing we've ever seen on an E3 stage, I think. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on in this. I don't even know what Kojima... What? It's literally like he's trying to make some of the weirdest games possible. I don't even know. I don't know. I can't say anything about it. I don't even know if it has good gameplay, because it was like, I don't even know what you're walking around. It's a walking simulator. Sometimes it's a stealth simulator. I don't know. Nioh 2 was announced. That was surprising because I didn't think Nioh did that well, but apparently enough people bought it because they were curious, like myself, that they could do a sequel. They're definitely going to have to do some work, especially now that they have to compete with Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima. They've got some work to do. We didn't see any gameplay. It was a very short trailer. I don't know. We'll see. And finally, Spider-Man from Insomniac. We saw a bunch of gameplay from this one. Looks fun. I mean, it just looks like a fun game. It's definitely reminiscent of sort of the Batman games as far as the combat goes. Web slinging looked like a lot of fun. I can't wait to just do that for a while. Running along walls and shooting webs and running around, and yeah, it looks good. I don't know if it'll be anything mind-blowing as far as, oh my god, this is something we've never seen before, but you know, it could be the best Spider-Man game ever released, so that's something. Yeah, so I think for me, Sony won E3 as far as whatever that really means, but as far as the games that they showed and my anticipation levels, they have the most of my interest compared to other companies. But really, that's mostly just Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. Like, that was such a blowout, those two games. Yeah. That was enough. All right, finally, Nintendo. Honestly, I did not even watch this. I did not watch the conference itself, or the, whatever they call it. Well, I guess they call it a conference. I watched a few select trailers. I mean, there was a few things. There's some Xenoblade stuff. But I didn't even finish that game. The Pokemon crap, but, meh. Super Mario Party. The Fire Emblem Three Houses. That actually looks good. I'll probably be getting that. Because I have Fire Emblem. What the hell is the name of this game? Echoes? I think that it's Echoes for the 3DS. I bought that, but it's like I never do anything with my 3DS. I don't. But on the Switch, on my big TV, yes, it looks very good. Overcooked 2. I'm still been waiting to play Overcooked 1 with my friends. But that one's going to be apparently online. Hollow Knight came out on the Switch like yesterday. I bought it immediately. You should as well. Why have you not bought it already? I've been playing it. I've been replaying it. It's really solid on the Switch. It's got everything, all the content they've released, and you get whatever the next content thing they drop along with it for free, so that's good. Monster Hunter Generations is coming out, I think August or September, something like that. So yes, I'll be getting that. It'll be weird to go back to that from World, because that's the old style of gameplay. But from what I have seen of Generations, looks pretty solid. And then, of course, the whole big thing was about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So, I can't even say that much about it. I liked the original Smash for N64. I played a lot of that. After that, it's just been sort of here and there. Like, my friends sometimes have Smash parties, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's fun for a night, and I just can't really get into that series. Mostly because I'm just not that into fighting games. Just for like a little bit here and there. But this one contains every character that has ever been in a Smash game in the roster, which is pretty cool. I think that's pretty ambitious of them. It's pretty good. Although I feel like balance has always been kind of an issue, so I don't know. And I only ever play as Samus anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, if you're interested in that, I'm sure it all looks pretty solid, but yeah, not really my thing. And unless they're announcing the next Zelda game, I knew I wasn't gonna watch the Nintendo thing. But Hollow Knight came out. That's awesome. Octopath Traveler coming out. That's gonna be awesome. Monster Hunter Generations and Fire Emblem should all be pretty damn solid. So, I like the format of Nintendo, but I just wish it was a different company. I don't know. They're doing fine. A lot of shit is coming out for the Switch. It's definitely a way better console than the Wii U, so good for them. Breath of the Wild was a massive hit for me, so I'm not going to hate on Nintendo this year. But the conference itself wasn't really huge for me. All right, that about wraps it up. This was about the length I actually expected, about a little over an hour and a half. If you stuck through it, good for you. Yeah, so like I said, it wasn't a hardware year, but if you look at the shit coming out end of the year, start of next year, Last of Us 2, hold on, where's the list? Somebody had a list. Here we go. This was the list. Okay, so you got Spider-Man coming out in September, Shadow of the Tomb Raider coming out in September, Assassin's Creed Odyssey coming out in October, Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out in October, Fallout 76 in November, Kingdom Hearts 3 in January, Anthem coming out in February, Metro Exodus February, Division 2 is in March, and then sometime next year we get Sekiro, Ori 2, Dynalite 2, Jedi Fallen Order, Doom Eternal. So yeah, there's a lot of very exciting shit coming out. And then there's the stuff that's somewhere on the horizon somewhere, which was not announced. The Last of Us 2, of course, is going to be... I can't imagine that's not next year, but okay. Probably late next year. Ghost of Tsushima, holy shit. Cyberpunk 2077. I think we might see all three of those games next year. Probably late next year, but still. Yeah, so very exciting time for gaming. Good stuff all around. But for me personally, it's a good time to be a Sony fan. But it's also a good time to be an owner of a solid PC. I'll say that. But, the Switch is keeping up. The Switch could very well be in the same space as the Xbox, but Nintendo is definitely doing solid work, bringing in a lot of third-party things, keeping it very relevant. And I think the mobile factor is definitely a plus for a lot of people. Not for me, but I like that a lot of these series that would be just on 3DS are instead being on the Switch, and that allows me to have something like Fire Emblem or Octopath Traveler on my big TV compared to just some little shit. So I like the Switch. I like what they're doing. I think it's good. All right, so that wraps it up. Solid E3. You know, one of the better years, I would say. There wasn't an over massive amount of cringe. A lot of good stuff announced. So, can't complain. My name is Mangg. This has been the E3 2018 Roundup. And I'll see you fine folks around.